What? What?
I need you to keep that same energy throughout this podcast.
Well,
and
no.
that music does not belong to us. We do not have ownership of that music. No copyright. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have none of that. Yeah, absolutely. That does not belong to us. But, so the "Nuck If You Buck" mantra
Yes.
comes from that time in a blended family when the wife,
The mom.
pulls that card. I'm making this decision because I love her or him.
Okay. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but your point here is, when is enough in pulling that card? When is the mother blinded by love or the fear of losing her child's love that interferes with her disciplinary actions?
Or just basic decision making, right? So
I need an example. Example me.
So an example can be when you have, an adult child that has the same behaviors that they had when they were 15. And that adult child...
adult meaning what? How old is this adult?
I mean, unfortunately, in this world, adult is 18 and over.
Right.
Right? Some kids come upon adulthood earlier. Some of them they're pushing 17, 16 when they feel like, and that's probably when it starts, right? It probably started when they were young, but you see it more when they're 15 and 16 because now they're making decisions like the dating decisions they're making, and they're making decisions.
Semi-adult, quasi-adult decisions, because decisions at this point that will have real repercussions, right? When you're 10 years old and you want that gum and you know mom's going to say no and you steal that packet of gum from the grocery store, you'll get a slap in the hand and say, oh, he's a kid and maybe, you made a mistake, blah, 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 there's a lesson to be learned here. When you're 15, not the same treatment.
Right.
You know better, and there's real adult consequences that come with that type of, now, would be considered criminal behavior.
Right, yeah. And if you're now at that age group, if you have the same ideology that you had when they were 7 and 12, if you're still saying the same things when they're 15 or 23, then you have to ask yourself, is this love that I'm having for my kid, or is this a sense of weakness that you have? Especially if you happen to be blessed to have a step parent that is willing to take over that role, right? So
essentially you're saying you have to find your spouse's Achilles heel. This is what you're most afraid of. This is what you're always going to bend to every time, even in the small lessons at 7, 8, 9 years old. Because if you're going to start implementing these small things, then it's going to be a problem at 15, 20, 25 years old.
Because how can it not be that if you're at 7 years old and you look me in my face and tell me that makes me uncomfortable, something basic.
And what would that something basic be? Let's really break it down here.
Something basic can be what time they go to bed. Something basic can mean.
Because is your opinion here that the attitude would be, oh come on, what's 30 more minutes? What's an hour gonna hurt? What's 45 minutes?
Right.
Kind of being more lenient, being really strict with the rules early on, because kids need those kind of parameters. Structure.
Right.
And then, they can understand that 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes is leniency. But if they're used to that, but they don't know what leniency is, and that's when the lines become blurred.
Or if they understand, kids and humans understand quickly personalities. They know the personality of their blended dad, and they know the personality of their blended parents. Whether we want to acknowledge that or not, they know who's really are making the decisions at that moment. So if I'm a stepchild, if a decision comes down and I say, if you know that if I would normally say no, and you're allowed to do it, I've been effectively vetoed, and that.
That's interesting, because we always come from a different perspective on this, because you came into your stepchildren's family when they were older.
Well, I mean, older, I don't know if older is, when you say that, I kind of get taken aback, because older is like 8 years old.
That is, but you have to think that's 8 years you were not in their life, and they're accustomed to their mother and their biological father saying XYZ is the correct avenue to take, and now you're saying, well, no, it's ABC, not XYZ, right? Whereas, what I'm coming from when I say that is that all I've ever known was my stepfather's standard, because he's been in my life since I was 3. I don't remember a life with my mother and biological father.
Right, big difference.
So,
yeah,
right.
A difference.
So what I'm saying is the standard that's been set is always the one my stepfather made, and that was not a standard that I felt I could then go to my mother and say, but Mom, can I? I knew once I asked my dad, that was it. There was no, let me go to Mom, and that was it. That was a final word, and there was no arguing, negotiating. You know, I wasn't in cahoots with my mom. It was, all right, well, Dad said that, so that's what it is.
I feel like right now, because we're on this pod, you're saying the blanket statement that you know I absolutely disagree with. So
100%. I just said all that to egg you on.
Yeah, I kind of felt like you're doing that because I'm thinking
because I know all that just upset the hell out of you. I know where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely, because there's no way that your mom has never called that veto power. Because
I will say this. Never in front of me. Never.
Well, of course not.
Wait. What I'm saying is, in your position, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in your position, you felt that your stepchildren, after you had said no, could freely go to their mother and ask for the same thing.
No. They couldn't ask. They were not so blatant as the same with yours. So not so blatant. They couldn't say blatantly, Mom, he said I can't do this. Can I do that?
Right.
Overtly, the same way you got your way when you were younger that you don't remember, but the same way you got your way and you and your mom were in cahoots, although you don't want to call it cahoots.
You know what? What time is it? I have to call my mom.
So
you piss me off every Tuesday, and I always forget to call my mom.
So the same way that they're able to say overtly, why can't I? Is it possible? Or let me find a way around it that I'm going to get my way in this scenario or that scenario. And I would venture to guess, based on my wallet.
Your wallet? Why your wallet?
Because I say my wallet because I'm willing to bet a few shekels in my wallet.
A few shekels?
Shekels. That I'm sure that happened. I cannot believe that you guys were an anomaly. That she got issues, y'all.
And fucking and ready to fight. Because I'm ready to fight because you make me mad.
Right, and I'm
gonna call my mom real quick live, and I'm gonna see if she can. She probably won't be able to pick the phone.
Yeah,
but
of
I'm
course
gonna
she's
call
not,
and
because
ask
you already
her
texted her.
Out of the. You can check my text messages, sir.
She texted her and was like, "Mom, here's what you got to say."
No, my mother's not a liar.
And say this too.
What we do here is go back.
Let me call the mom, so now I can't even interrogate the mom the way I would normally.
She's probably not gonna pick up anyway. She has like strict phone rules that work.
Strange you calling me.
I know. Listen, real quick. I need like 15 seconds of your time. Do you have that?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Real quick.
Hey, Ma.
I'm here with my trainer, and we're having an argument, and I need you to prove me right.
No.
No,
Oh, you know what? This is Eric. Here. You know what? I won't even pursue.
Hi,
Eric, ask the
How are you?
question.
Okay, Mom. How are you? I have a
I'm
question.
doing well. I just had a wonderful lunch, so I'm doing great.
Oh, good. It's always good to have a good meal. So we have this podcast, and on this podcast we're talking about blended families. And one of the questions that we continue to venture is, when you were raising Ann, when you and your husband got into, here's the question. How many conflicts did you and your husband get into over the decision making that he wanted to make versus the decision making that you wanted to make?
In raising me.
Okay. Which one you talking about? Her real dad or her stepdad?
Stepdad.
Yeah, because of the way every time she went to her father, she came back upside down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
That
always
has
conflict
nothing
with
to
that.
do.
Wait. This is awesome. This is awesome. Mom, you're gonna make.
See, I had no problem. My husband and I, let's put it this way. Her stepdad and I had no problem raising her, but every time she went to visit her dad for the summer, she came back and we had double work to get her back to where we wanted. That's better phrase, yeah.
Right, and that is standard, because we had to retool when they come back, because they come back with an attitude and a little bit of swagger, and they come
No,
back.
it wasn't the attitude thing. It's that her father would put she would put her father on a pedestal because she didn't really know her father because she was too young to know him.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. Did you and Kim have a lot of arguments in terms of how to discipline me? Or are you guys always on the same page?
No, we didn't have any arguments. We were always on the same page.
Okay, Mom. So, hold on, Mom. I feel like this is when the.
Hold on. I'm trying to think of, I don't know, because with both our kids, sometimes he didn't like things that I did with them, but my kids always came to me first because my husband was military.
So, because he was military, and I would say that probably means strict. Or stricter.
Very, yeah.
Right, and
he woke him up one time. He woke him up sometime that I didn't appreciate over some stupid stuff.
So when you guys,
I didn't
said,
appreciate that.
Right. So she didn't. I know. So you didn't like the. So some of the tactics you didn't.
He woke him up for some stupid stuff.
Right.
I forgot what it was that you guys did.
I remember I had talked back to you, and Spencer had done something in school, and he woke us up at 6 o'clock in the morning, put us in line like we were soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And was yelling at us, like walking back and forth, and I was like, "Mom, how could you let him do that to us?"
Right. So you told Mom right then and there.
Oh, I told her.
And Mom said, and Mom backed him up. Not to me, she backed him up. I'm finding out now, 15, 20 years later, that's how she felt about it.
So I got two of them.
I told him privately because I couldn't even remember. In front of him, I couldn't.
Like you have to be on the same page with him.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't on the same page. I had to make believe I was on the same page, and I said that was unacceptable.
Okay, so that was at least one time where because when you told him that it was, don't cut me off. When you told him that it was unacceptable, I'm sure because he's a believer in what he's done and for the reason why he's done it. So when you told him it was unacceptable, I'm sure he didn't just say, "Oh yeah, you were right, honey. It's over." He didn't say that. No, he was explaining why it was acceptable. So that's right. So that's just one of the many conversations I'm sure that throughout a relationship raising children that we come into conflict in our standards, that nature versus nurture, that nature versus discipline, nurture versus discipline, where we as men feel like. So can you tell me any more times that might have? So let's talk about when she went to.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, Mom. Okay.
Mom, I need you to really give me the real on this one, though. This is very important.
Okay, I would be honest about everything.
Okay. So remember, I was 14. I had a boyfriend. I lied. Boom. That was the beginning of problems between me and Kim because you were like, okay, we're gonna start over. I'm gonna, little by little, you're gonna trust you again. But Kim was like, no, you're about to be this big hoe.
Right.
Anyway.
Oh, when he found that stuff.
The email. Yeah. So here's the question.
I remember that.
Shortly after that, I joined marching band. Did Kim give you a hard time or did not want me to join marching band?
No, he didn't mind.
Okay, so what was the conversation like for her to get that more freedom of joining the marching band when he can't place his hands on her, he can't see her, she's gone for a few hours?
Well, half the time he couldn't, he worked nights.
Yeah. And it was a school-related activity. Kim was always down as long as it was school-related.
So you were what, Mom, about that transition?
I was always the one that did everything with the kids. It was rare that he could go to one of their recitals or any activities because he was a chef and he worked at a restaurant at night. It was gone from 3 to 11 every day.
But he had no problem with the idea. It wasn't like you had to fight. I just said, hey, I want to be a marching band, and y'all said, okay.
No, he loved the fact that you played your instrument. Yeah, no, he always liked that. Yeah, no problem there.
Okay, no problem there. So basically what we're trying to do, this blended podcast, we appreciate you coming on.
Sure.
So basically what we're trying to do is just kind of figure out, I've always said in me and my wife's relationship, sometimes we sat in the bed and we kind of didn't fight in front of the kids, but some of my tactics she might not have liked, or some of my tactics she thought was, and what I was trying to get to my young counterpart here is that because she thought everything was peachy cream and that you was just, okay, we're doing it his way.
No, I mean, his problem always was, and still today sometimes he still brings it up, was that even though he raised her and she acknowledged him after college, they had a conversation, and Kirsten said, you're my dad because you raised me. I have a biological dad, but you raised me. He always felt like he was always in the shadows of her father. Always. Always. That was the only conversation that we basically had all the time. That was it throughout the time that Kirsten was there.
Do you think he was it valid, you think, that he had that feeling?
Yeah, he was jealous. Remember, he was raising her, but her father was, she was young, and she would go see him in the summers, and he would do all the fun daddy things and all the fun stuff. When she came to us, it was more discipline, go to school, do this. And so, you know, you're going to want to have the fun all the time. And that's why
Mom, hard question.
I get it.
Hard question coming your way, if you don't mind. Like, what do you think your role was at? Do you think that you helped in making him feel like no? Or do you think you didn't help?
I was always there to comfort him and say, no, you're doing the right thing. You know, I told him one day she'll turn around, and I was right. I told him this, you know, she's going to come to you and say just what I said about the fact that you're my dad, you raised me. As an adult, she would figure it out, and she did, and we had the conversation. I was always comforting my husband. We didn't really bicker about it, but I was always supporting him when he was feeling down in terms of, you know, I always wanted, because when I had our child, I had a boy, and my husband tends to make boys because he has 2 boys from a previous marriage. He wanted another girl because he wanted his own little girl. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There was a time, and I'll never forget this, where I think her sister was visiting, Shani and Ann, and they were both on her father's lap. And then that was a bad night for my husband. And it's like, look at this. He's got both of them. I got nothing. I was always trying to make him feel better. Mm-hmm. It was just tough. It was really tough. It was hard. Those were very hard years when I think about it. Very hard years.
The levels of comfort when you're dealing with a dad that's doing all the heavy lifting. Mm-hmm. And there's really nothing, that you can offer. And so you're trying, but really, like you said, you cannot get away from seeing the 2 girls sitting on the lap. Like that is a dough blow punch. Or you can't, you can't, you know, you do all the heavy lifting, but they're not smiling at you the way they're smiling. And then that goes into psychology, right? That goes into, you know, a daughter wants her dad. Yeah. You know, that just falls into that. So I can understand. I mean, I had 2 more daughters, and especially with my youngest, I can clearly see, and my other daughter, I can clearly see the eye that they give their daddy, and it's just something you can't replace it.
You can't do it.
No,
you can't.
There's nothing you can do.
He doesn't say stepdaughter. He says my daughter.
Does he feel like that today? Because it makes me sad that that he felt like I didn't love him, or that.
Well, you know, it's just part of you growing up, and I just told him he had to give you time. He doesn't feel like that anymore.
Oh, that's good. Because I almost wanted to cry.
No, he doesn't feel like that now.
that was really sad.
Not now. I think the remember that scene at the airport when you told him? It was at the airport.
What did I say?
We had a layover at the layover airport. When you had that layover, we went from Kennesaw and we met you and we stayed with you because you had to kill some time.
Oh, okay.
You don't remember?
I do. Now it's coming back to me.
That's when we had like 3 hours and we went out to eat and you told him about how for school you gave me money for lunch, you fed me, you gave me clothes, you did this, you took me here, you took me there, and it was just like, oh my God, he was crying.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, and it's no joke. I was talking to my oldest the other day, who's not my biological child, and I had texted her, and she had got her hair cut, and so I was just kind of reassuring her how beautiful she is and how strong she looks. And you know, and she texted me back, but then she called me and she just kind of let me know, like, hey, just to let you know, pops, like you like in the corny way, you're the real MVP. Like you're the, like you're the deal. Like you step outside the box to give me what I've needed in my life. Um, and it's and but I realize in these blended families, it's a struggle though because you gotta. It's a struggle. Hard. That's why we call the first podcast "The Glory Comes Later," because we believe that that when you are in a blended family and all these emotions and they're strong, like mom, you have to protect what you know is important, and that is a relationship between her and her biological father, and
right.
And me as a stepdad, I'm not really liking it, even if I know it's right, because I'm thinking
he doesn't deserve that.
He don't deserve it, and not only does he not deserve it, but it might even be destructive.
Yeah.
Right. It might even be destructive. So I remember having those conversations with my wife, but at the end of the day, I think loving adults that we all are always have to make the right decision, right? We always, and that's where those letters came from. You know, when you're helping her write, and that's why me and my wife went the journey we went, and making sure that the girls knew their dad, and even had a relation, even later on, and out when their relationship with their dad was really really bad, and I remember one of my daughters being upset with her dad and saying mean things, and I remember saying to her, can't do that, like that kind of feeling in your heart, if it settles in, is poison for you,
right?
Not poison for him.
Okay, so we just got off the phone with my mom, right? There was no my mother vetoing my stepfather.
I think.
So I don't know that if we can accomplish the same thing, because my mother can't even come from that perspective. It didn't exist for us.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
She did let me know that on the back end, unbeknownst to you, that she was having deep conversation with her husband in the background.
Oh, 100%.
So it
I
leads
never
me to
doubted
believe,
that.
So it leads me to believe that there's been plenty of times, like any couple, she softened him up to make a decision that would go in your favor.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have to believe that, and it's very hard for me to believe. That's why I had to treat her like a hostile witness. That there was not one time that she didn't make a change.
No, I'm telling you, there was my dad had carte blanche.
You think so?
My stepdad had carte blanche. That was it. I think you have to understand that there's one, even though I hate this phrase because I love cats, that there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Don't say that.
I know, my poor kittens. And that not every blended family is the same in that. My mom really did give my stepfather carte blanche, and thankfully, because he's not a freaking savage, he didn't go crazy.
He was disciplinarian. You were 3.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big deal too.
I've been trying to tell you that for 8 weeks now.
Yeah.
But
I know some families that they start young, and that drama still is so prevalent.
No, drama didn't begin with us until I was a teenager, and I think honestly, looking back at it, he would have done the same thing with my brother. You messed up, and now I'm gonna hold a grudge, and I don't trust you, and whatever. And I'm curious to know if he
does he feel like it was a grudge, or does he feel like he was being in protection mode?
Well, my mom said
I think
both.
my daughter's told me before, and I'm like, there's no reason for me to hold a grudge.
My mom
I'm
said,
in protection mode.
Well, I think, again, there's also a gut punch to all of this, right? So I think he might have been mad. Like, why is she doing this? You know, why would she lie to us? There's that to reconcile. But after a while, once that is gone, what's holding you on?
Yeah, gut punch is surprise.
Right.
But then again, from there, parenting comes into play.
Right. So then in his mode was locked down, and she said, well, damn, like, she messed up. What are we doing here? But again, my point was not that they were never discussing this in the background. Of course they were. My point was the decision never changed. It wasn't as if my mother came to me and said, how are you feeling? And I said, Mom, blah, 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 blah. And she said, all right, I'm going to go talk to your stepdad see if I can change his mind. She said, this is how Ann is feeling. I understand that the end result isn't going to change, but this is what she's telling me that she doesn't feel comfortable telling you. The end result was the same. I know you don't want to believe that, even after my mother told you that was the case.
I'm gonna talk to Miss. No, I gotta talk to Kim because. Well, here's why. Here's why. Right. Here's why. Because
it's never enough for you.
No, because you know why? Because here's why. I don't. My wife never said. The kids never came up to her and said, "Mom, this is what's going on, and this is how. This is what I want to do." And then my wife come back to me and say, "We're gonna change that decision." It's not like that. It is. You're gonna wear on your mom and wear on your mom, and then then she's gonna go to the dad. The question is, was there ever a veto power? And your mom told me no, but was there ever a veto power based on the fact that he's not your biological dad?
100%.
And I think that is
100% no.
Well,
I don't. You are
then you're an anomaly.
stubborn.
So that's twice now. You're an anomaly. An anomaly because of the relationship. And now you're an anomaly.
Well, okay, anomaly. What do you mean anomaly because of the relationship?
The age difference and the kids and all the stuff that you know we've said on the pod before.
In that
meaning you, your husband.
Being
able to deal with some of the stuff.
Right, yeah. Basically, God just gifted me. I'm like really special.
Like totally.
I'm like really special.
I know, exactly, and that's the blended baby.